Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Another week covering the Victory System tabletop role-playing game by myself and my partner Victor Gibson. This week I would like to talk about equipment. Have you ever bought a role-playing game, got yourself the core books, and sat down, and there was stuff in it that you needed that it didn't have? Somehow there was something missing from the process, and you didn't quite have everything you really felt you needed. You had to sit down and do some homework to finish things up. Quite often with equipment, I have seen some role-playing games that really skimped down on what equipment was offered to people to use in the play of the game. I'm looking at you, Cyborg Commando, and that kind of informed how I approached equipment dealing with the Victory System. There's gear in here. There are three eras of play, three main eras of play, that being fantasy, near modern, and space. There is equipment for all of those eras in this book. Equipment comes in a number of areas. There is weapons, armor, shields, miscellaneous equipment, which covers all the gadgets and lockpicks and grappling hooks and pocket computers and light bulbs, all the stuff that you need to not only adventure, but have your day-to-day life. Clothing, vehicles, buildings and properties, furniture, all, and that equipment is there for each era. So that you not only have what you need to kit out a character to go on an adventure, but you also have what the character needs to live their day-to-day life between adventures. You've got their home, whether they buy or rent, whatever vehicle they're driving around in, what clothing they wear, the wardrobes that they put together, musical instruments, what have you. It's all in here. And that is primarily because I didn't want there to be a lack of what you needed to get the game going. I have created more equipment in the system as time goes on. I am currently compiling the equipment by era of play, and we're going to be putting those books out pretty soon, I think. But that is not the end of what equipment is available. When I made this equipment, I wanted it all to be very consistent, because when you use money in the Victory System, you're buying effect. You're buying a certain amount of damage, or a certain amount of resistance to damage, or a certain amount of durability, or certain effects. And I wanted that to come across as a consistent system. Here is that consistent system. The Victory System Equipment Manual has all the rules that I came up with for creating this equipment. So you can make fantasy, near modern, and space era equipment, weapons or armor or shields, miscellaneous equipment, vehicles, buildings. You can make all of that out of the guidelines that are in the equipment manual. If you do not find what you're looking for in the basic book or any other book I put out, then you can absolutely make it happen. You can modify existing equipment, and you can make your own from scratch. It's not just how the player or the game master makes equipment, but it also contains the storytelling elements and the mechanics by which the characters make their own equipment as well. So you can have a character who is a maker with unique gear. And there are merits and skills that support this in the character creation process. I like making things, and I didn't want someone to buy my game and come to me with, this game is good, but it doesn't have something I need. It's in there. The equipment manual has another couple of things I'm going to cover really quickly. I mentioned last week that it has the rules that I also use for constructing all of the special abilities, the magic spells and psionics and mechanica. All of that, those guidelines are also in the equipment manual. There's also an extra system. Equipment can be modified in the Victory system, but it can only be modified so far. Materials will only get pushed to a certain level. A gun can only be so accurate. A bow can only be so durable. A bazooka can only do so much damage, even if it is quite a bit. There comes a point where the materials and the weight and the mass of the thing will only have so much effect. That is where the special abilities come in again. Whether it's magic or martial arts or mechanica or powers or psionics, there is another merit called Artificer, which allows you to imbue those abilities into equipment. That is called enhancement. It's what you would classically consider enchantment in a role-playing game, but enchantment specifically refers to if you're making a magic item, your extra damage sword or your flaming spear. You can also make psionic items that focus psychic energy as opposed to magical energy. Make mechanica items, things that link up with the systems within the user and have special gear for enhancing its effects, drawing on the user's energy and extra mechanical energy in the area. You have super gadgets if you're using powers, so that anything off of a utility belt, for instance. Martial arts items, you can imbue items with chi to make them more durable, more effective, to carry on the wisdom and the force of the masters. So you can push things even further beyond. All the rules for doing that in the book. Those do not add weight to an item. Usually they do add cost. And whether you're talking about mana from the magic or the psychic energy that resonates for psionics or chi for martial artists, there's one source of energy, and that is risk. Risk is the base universal measurement of energy that player characters have access to. And you imbue a certain amount of risk into enhanced items. If you have a very enhanced item with a lot of risk, well, someone who has one of those special merits, spell slinger or mind of power or martial artist, can sense that amount of risk radiating from the item, so they can tell that there's something over there, even if they can't identify exactly what it does. There are enhancements you can add to an item that shield this risk signature, as it were, which adds to the cost and the amount of risk you put into it, but there's balance. All of this in the equipment manual. So you can make a character that can make more gear, and you can make whatever whether it's a jet plane or a specific item of clothing, or you want to make a gun do more. It's all in there. What I would be interested in, I've tried to make these rules as complete as possible. When I created my first role-playing game, I wanted the equipment to be consistent. So I've got a folder this big across that has rules for making absolutely everything, whether it's a anti-material rifle or a jet fighter or the coating on a pair of eyeglasses. It's all in there, and it was ridiculously complicated. And I boiled that down to fewer systems and fewer categories, and that is the equipment manual. It gives you a pretty consistent result. You tell the game what effects you want. You want something that is this durable, that does this much damage, that has this kind of range, that can read that kind of radiation, or that can light an area this large. And the game will tell you, the equipment system will tell you what it costs and what it weighs. And everything else Up to you. What do you want to put into it? And if I may say so myself, where there is a real-world equivalent, you get within a certain percentage of that actual value, or at least you used to a few years ago. Times change and values do, but still probably within a fairly narrow margin. But there is one more rule for if you bring in a piece of equipment, you see something in a magazine or you saw something online and wow, that's really cool. I wish I could have this in the system. And you work it out and the price is just wildly different. You can write a reality check. It's like, this is what it costs in real life. And I spend that in game, and the game master's instructs us, yeah, if you got that price for that item doing that stuff, yes. Yes, we'll use the real world price. Reality check. I really didn't want there to be a lack of stuff that you needed, not just for running the adventure, but all the stuff between the adventure. Where do you live? What do you sit in? What do you drive around when you are not out there killing bad guys, taking their stuff, lather, rinse, repeat? What does the character live in? When you finish that character, when you've got everything on there, including all their equipment, you have what they need. Ideally, maybe you don't have everything you need because you couldn't afford it all, but you can go out and get what you need, or maybe you can make it. The ability for characters to be able to make their own equipment comes at a discount because it's cheaper to make your own, and there's some benefits to that. There are some merits that make that easier, such as natural engineer or crafty. And equipment. All equipment should have a damage resistance value and a weight. It's shrugged if it has any. So you know all equipment can take damage. Some equipment can damage other equipment more effectively. And of course you can repair damage to equipment because why wouldn't you? I've tried to make it as complete as I can, and I'm actually really proud of the equipment manual that backs up the rules that are in the basic book. Equipment can be destroyed, reduced to so little substance left that you can't even recycle it because it's just been feckin' vaporized. I'm going to miss some of those swords that I broke that badly. But yeah, that is equipment. So we've covered the basics of the system and its mechanics, general character creation, special abilities, and equipment. Next week, I think I'm going to finish it off by talking about what it's like the game master for the victory system. What it's like to game master, what it's like to prep when you've got some time coming up and you want to have everything ready to go, or when you have a game coming up and you've got no prep time and you just want to throw something, because the victory system can do both of those tricks and it does them rather well. Well, thank you very much for following along. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. For comments, I am so proud of the equipment manual and its construction system. I would like some challenges. I would like you to think of a piece of equipment that probably doesn't exist in the book and throw it at me. Throw me an example of something that you think should be made for a role-playing game, probably hasn't, maybe something that would be tricky to make. So I can stat it up. I'll stat those things up and I will provide the stats for those just to give some examples, more concrete examples of how the equipment system works. Knock yourselves out. Challenge me, please. Things you'd like to hear me talk about, questions you'd like to hear me answer, subjects you would like me to cover. Please leave me a comment. I will love getting your comment. You'll love leave me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the notification bell so you're alerted when my videos become available. if you would like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. Allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me. I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.